Michelle, the material catches the light. Michelle, it's fucking sequin. Of course, it catches the light. She's like a kitty, you know, when you jingle the keys. Yeah, kitty, look at the keys, kitty. It catches the light. What the fuck? Welcome to the shop, and in this episode we have more peaks and valleys in Daya's villain/underdog edit, a DragCon advertisement masquerading as a maxi challenge, then of course we have the Cryptiques, Georgina Cha-Cha saved by production, the Lipsync, and some speculations. I won't go in full detailed predictions because this week I'll be a guest at Aki's channel, which is not pronounced Aki, it's pronounced Yuki, and nobody ever corrected me. I look like an imbecile for months. Anyway, I will leave a link for the video in the description and you can check it there when the video is out. Also, if you like our videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, all of these good things, because they really help the channel grow and reach more viewers. It's a small thing, but it really makes a world of a difference, so thank you so much for that. And if you would like to discuss topics in more details, you can leave a comment or join us every Sunday, because remember, The Chop is a live show that airs here on YouTube every week. We are back in the workroom and Betty is feeling her hot because she finally got a win. So is she going to shit on everybody? Apparently not. I'm sure that was the plan from production, but Betty kind of kept it as normal as possible, whatever normal means for Betty, because she's like, well, if you're not competition, if you're not here to compete, just go home already. And at this point we have a confessional from Willow, basically defending Daya. If you had the idea that she's a full-on villain, well no, that's not going to happen, because Willow, our emotional connection, is here to tell us that Daya is very open about being competitive, and she appreciates it.
Daya is very open about how competitive she is, and that's something I appreciate because I'm not very open with how competitive I am. It is okay to feel a little cutthroat at times.
You see, it's never a full-on villain edit. When it comes to Daya, I'm actually surprised by production, because they could have taken this way too far. She's unhinged, she's constantly giving them material, but production is not picking up on that, because there is not much shade going on with her edit, especially in this episode. So, however you feel about it, if you find it entertaining, if you find it annoying, for me it depends. Sometimes I'm like, I'm rolling my eyes, other times I'm like, you are such a bitch, I am living. So I have conflicted feelings about her. At this point, somebody asks, how did they feel about the final ranking? And Bosco intercepts and said, well, when it comes to that, the safe girls came to the conclusion that Deja shouldn't have been high. And I was like, what about George's? Do you remember George's? Basically coming naked to the runway. Nobody is putting out any word about what happened to George's last episode and the fact that he probably deserved the bottom. But I'm sure that it happened because Bosco is quite grounded, you know, she will tell this kind of things. So for me, this was edited out. It was sad, but it was conveniently edited out. Crystal, this season takes so long, Cornbread could heal leg injuries and come back. It's a new day in the workroom, and we have a mini challenge, and it's not necessarily a mini advertisement. It was fun, it was stupid, it was campy, the queens basically did their makeup in 15 minutes and put on whatever they had. I'm not complaining about having a mini challenge. For me, the best one was Deja. She was serving Star Wars realness. I was living for that. After this, Ru announces the maxi advertisement for this maxi challenge. The queens will be advertising DragCon with a DragCon panel about men. Since Willow won the mini challenge, she gets to choose the teams, and this is the interesting part. And she chooses Lady British, Angeria, and Deja. And at this point, we have a confessional from Deja coming out saying, well, Daya is not really excited about her team. And you have this stank face of Daya chewing on this cigarette, which was priceless. I'm telling you, it was priceless. And after that, a confessional from Daya herself. She says, I am worried because Willow put me in a team with Jasmine. It's not like Willow chose the people she wanted to be in a group with. No. All of that was done to put Daya in a group with Jasmine. Oh, and she continues, because she said, Jasmine is an energy vampire. And I will say it again, Daya is completely lucky, because if they wanted to go for villain edit on her, she would have been royally screwed. We move on to preparing for the challenge. They are given a script, so probably the topics are already decided by production, and they need to decide who is going to be a moderator. Group 1 has absolutely no problem. They decide for Daya, everybody agrees, perfect, fantastic. Group number 2, with the storyline introduced by Lady British through a confessional, telling us that she doesn't think they are much of a team. You see how you already have everything framed in the perfect light. Daya is not happy, Lady British from the outside is telling us that it's not working, so it's already a recipe for disaster. Jasmine wants to moderate. Meanwhile, Georgina asks, what's a moderator? Because, girl, she was born to do drag. She wasn't born with a dictionary. Let's not forget that. We have a fantastic reaction shot from Daya, completely shook. She's like, what the fuck? Jasmine, you moderate? No, that's never going to happen. We also have a complimentary confessional reminding us that Jasmine cannot stop talking, and she comes off as super bitter when it comes to Jasmine. I don't know why she has like a hate boner. I mean, Jasmine was trying. We saw her trying many times, and during, even in this same scene after this, we have a confessional from Jasmine saying that she's trying, she wants to, not fill the space, not talk too much, and Jasmine has been trying for a long time. But Daya doesn't care. She's like ready to come for Jasmine at every corner. And this dynamic that they have between the two of them is what's carrying on the season basically so far. Because there is not much else going on. This is all that we have. It's this dynamic. So you can be annoyed about it, but if you want my advice, just go with the flow. Just enjoy the ride, because there is no other way of going around it. Moving on, Mamoru is back in the workroom, and she's here to stir the pot and have a little bit of conversation with the queens, push some storylines, the usual things that Mamoru does in the workroom. You see Daya having an emotional moment. She's talking about her family, she's talking about her father left, her mother living with mental illnesses and difficulties that she had, and RuPaul is like, and I'm not shitting you, she's like, wow. So, who's been to DragCon? It's like, fuck you, Daya. Fuck your emotional moment. Fuck your issues. I don't care. So after this, Mamoru gives a push to Lady British storyline. The storyline that she's shy, that she is introverted, and good lord, of course it needs a push, because I'm watching her, I'm thinking, you talk constantly. You are very soft and supple, but you talk constantly. You are not shy. Your character is like full front. So Mamoru asks Lady British, what is it that you're afraid of people finding out about you? Now, I don't know, but maybe, and this is speculation, maybe it's the fact that, she's so overproduced that we never actually saw anything about her. I mean, we saw her character, that we saw, but what about her? Regardless, Lady comes back through a mismatched confessional to bring some support to Mamoru's insight about her storyline. Because Lady British is insecure. The official insecure is that she gets tense. The unofficial one is that she actually has no family trauma for the camera. And considering it's Drag Race, I would feel insecure as well. Then we move on to the second group. And at this point, Mamoru stirs the pot a little bit, because she asks Daya and Jasmine, hey, how are you two getting along? And look at their faces. They are laughing. Look at RuPaul's face. She's like, what are you doing, laughing? You should be fighting, damn you. I'm making a show here. She is pissed. She's so pissed. So Daya tries to help Mamoru, because at some point she comes out and says, well, Jasmine doesn't know when to shut up. She's like a little sister. I want to smash her head on the concrete floor. That's a lot to say. I agree with Mamoru, but it's Daya. She tends to go for the dramatic. All in all, this scene was great, right? And it was on point. Moving on, it's a new day in the workroom, and we don't have any mirror moments. Instead, we have a confessional from Jasmine in which she's reinforcing this message again, that she's going to try to dial it back, that she's not going to talk so much, that she's trying to be a team player. And Lady British best impersonation of David Attenborough, because she's so shy and quiet all of the time, and that's exactly what I'm thinking while I'm watching her entrance. She's so quiet, she's introverted, you don't understand, she is shy, and during the whole segment you hear her shouting Maxine to Angeria, but she's shy and silent. and introverted, or at least so Mamaru tells us. Moving on to the challenge, I am 99% sure that was filmed only once. They only had one take at this. What does it mean? Well, it means that the editors, at best, they could cut out moments. They couldn't play switcheroos between two different takes in order to push a specific narrative. Now, the first group, remember that the topics were very likely given by production. Their topics are hot men, fatherhood, and relationship and sex. For me, this group was the best one. They had an incredible chemistry, it was fun, it was honest, it was professional. In a way, it was also inspirational. I mean, I was left with the feeling that I had a great time with these queens, and I even learned something new. You feel a connection with them, especially to Willow. You feel a connection on an emotional level. And most importantly, they knew how to come off honest, but also being funny with it. So for me, I was completely sold on all of them. This is something that I would pay to go to watch. For me, the best were Willow and Daya. Both of them did a great job. Camden was edited out, but we're going to talk about that. Moving on to panel number 2. Their topics were hot men, like the first group, then male privilege and toxic masculinity. You see, this group was already thrown under the bus because these topics are not easy to tackle. They are difficult to discuss without being cliche or sounding patronizing or repeating the same things over and over and over that we've been hearing since 2006. Now, with that said, I was living for Bosco shade at everyone, but especially Georgina.
Maybe she's born with it, or maybe she's born for this. It's George's. Hello there.
They're living their best life, I am telling you. And they're not really throwing shade at George's, they're really throwing shade at RuPaul. But I don't think RuPaul gets it. She's like, they're probably making fun of George's, but the queens are making fun of RuPaul. This is one of the few times in which I think the queens actually outsmarted Mamaru, which is quite an accomplishment if you ask me. With the topics, with the actual discussions that they had, instead of being honest and inspiring, it really felt like they were preaching down to you. It was handled terribly. It was full of cliche about men, about women, everything that you heard 1,000 times around. There was no inspiration. It was trite, it was insincere, and full of, these buzzwords like insecure, societal expectation, privilege, internalized. I am surprised that microaggression didn't make the cut, because that's the buzziest of the whole buzzwords out there. This is what they are serving. There is really no real effort to connect to the audience or explain these issues in simple terms or being insightful, bringing some level of awareness. This DragCon panel was dead on arrival, if you ask me. So, since part of this show is also being educational, I'm going to tell you a couple things about masculinity and male privilege. What a treat. Just to be clear, this is not an issue of one person or one gender. We are talking about a system of belief and behavior that is passed down generation after generation. Indirectly, directly, from your parents, from your environment. This is not something that you have any actual control with while growing up. These are things that are taught to you, things that you should believe, how you should behave. They're all part of your educational package. It's basically imposed on you since you are, even before you're even born. You already have like specifically colored dresses based on the gender that you have and the way people will relate to you because of that. So by the time you become an adult, you are effectively in a bubble, and getting out of it, it's quite challenging, both on a practical and emotional level. It's difficult to actually reach out to the other side. And meanwhile, you have people pointing fingers at you. This is not the way to make things better. You have to actually give people instruments to build a better way to relate to all of these sort of issues. And it's the same for men and women. We always have this conversation about, oh, there is this conflict between men and women, and we never really brush on the struggles of the people themselves, because these things are very insidious aspects of life. What we call today toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. These are not confrontational issues. These are real struggle of real people, because you have men out there that have been raised, and this is something that people don't say enough, but they've been raised to never express emotion, just repress everything, not even put it aside. Repress it, unless it's anger, because anger is acceptable for a man. You're never allowed to have a good cry. You have to man up, of course. You cannot be too openly affectional, because that's a woman's thing. And of course, forget to ask anyone for help. You can never ask for help. And you should be ashamed of yourself for even thinking about asking for help. I tell you what, you want to be a family man? Forget that. Go to work. You have to support the family. This is the toxicity in the toxic masculinity. This is what destroys the person. And this is not just about men, because the same goes on for women as well. You disagree on something? Well, you better shut up, because a lady always has a smile, and has to be soft, and has to be nice, and has to be agreeable. What do you say? A composed, rational discussion from a woman? Oh, no, you should not try to do that. If you disagree with something, you have to be indirect about it. You can give your opinion between the lines. And if people then call you that you are a passive-aggressive bitch, then that is your fault because you didn't do a good job. Huh? Oh, what, you want to do science? That's ridiculous. Go back and fix your makeup. Don't even think about being the breadwinner in the house. If you have a job, you are not a good mother. This is the bullshit. This is the toxicity. The sexual revolution has been going on for almost a century now. And we made step forward, sure, we made step forwards, but we are nowhere near what really means to have equality. We don't have it. Period. So we are doing something wrong. Maybe we are focusing too much on some issues and not talking enough about other issues, especially education, because that's what makes all the difference. I mean, we are the older generations. We can try our best, but we are fucked. But the generation that is coming after us, we should do a better job in educating them so that this bullshit does not continue another 100 years. Now, with that said, my TED Talk is over, and we can go back to talking about Drag Race, but I need to get this thing out. So, what did I think about their panel? Bosco, for me, was doing a pretty good job as a moderator. Didn't come off as very authentic. She was very rehearsed. It was funny. She was doing a good job. It just didn't come off very authentic. Jasmine was edited out. Georgina did terrible, and Daya feels as false as a $3 bill. It was not a good panel. I didn't like it. Maybe drunk. Yes, maybe drunk I would have liked it. On a side note, Bosco came out as a bear chaser, which is a good thing. Luis Felipe, the sexual revolution happened a while ago, so George just wasn't born yet. Please mind you, if there are new people in here, we are joking. We all know that this is on production. They are the one pushing Georges. They are the one creating all of these things. You're born for doing drag and whatever. This is what I'm making fun of. Let's move on to the main stage. For the runway, I will be quick. Anyone but Daya can basically go home. Her shoulder pad look was the best for me. It was elevated, it was well executed, and I absolutely love the makeup and hair. She was the embodiment of shoulder pads. It was the best. For me, Georgina didn't do the assignment, but she was feeling her hopes on the runway, which is a good thing, because she's sending an important message. No matter how fucked up you know that you look, just try it anyway. That's the secret to life. Just keep trying. So keep trying no matter what. And second worst was Bosco for me. She was relying on that body, if you will. Now, the queens are judged as individuals. And I have a question. Why can't we judge them as groups? Let's try to imagine what would have happened if we judged them as group. Well, the first team was the best. So Daya could have been a perfect winner, Willow could have been a perfect winner, or maybe a double win. Then the second team would have been the worst. And you have Jasmine, Georgina, and Daya in the bottom three, which is actually what happened anyway. So you don't really have a problem there. What's different in all of this? Well, Bosco is different. The winner is different. You cannot pick a winner from the losers team. If you judge them as team, you need to pick a winner from the winners team. So the only reason why they judged them as individuals was to give a win to Bosco. This is huge. The fact that they changed the way they judged them only to give her a win already tells a lot. This is probably one of the best clues we have had so far, and for me, Bosco is already on the top 4. She's solidified in there, and nothing is going to change my mind on that. What else did I want to tell you about this? Oh, Anjira and Camden are safe. I'm not so sure about Camden's performance, because it looks like she was edited out, but the clue that we have with Camden is that in the very first minutes of Untucked, when you see the queens coming back from the main stage, you have an edit of Camden saying, "I am happy and I think I did good in the teaser challenge."
I feel happy to be safe. I feel like I did a pretty good job in the teaser.
Why did they need to edit this line for Camden? Well, you guessed it, because she probably fucked up the challenge. Let's move on to the Cryptiques.
Bullshit. 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 That's bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
That's a joke.
Every fucking time.
I was being realistic.
Realistic was bullshit. Girl, bullshit. You are a fucking liar.
Nicole Byer is here, thank God, because we have both Nicole Byer and Carlson Kressley in there. So the judging panel is only half full of crap for this episode. To Daya, Nicole, you were funny, you were educational, and it was heartfelt. Do you see? I told you that Nicole is great. Michelle, you kept it moving, but there were moments in which you were stiff, and you needed to loosen up, and you needed to give into it. No comments. Carlson, your look is high drag and it's camp. Rue, this is what I expected from a shoulder pad runway. We don't have nothing else for Daya. So at this point while I was watching, I kind of had a feeling that Daya might not be going to win. They don't really put emphasis on how good she was in moderating everyone, the fact that she was funny, the fact that she felt really natural. This was a missed opportunity for Daya. It made no sense. Well, it made sense when you think that they wanted to give a win to Bosco. Then yes, it makes sense. Moving on to Willow. Michelle, you could have gone bigger with the shoulder pads. She is not wrong. Look at me agreeing with Michelle. Carlson, I love the construction, but we needed more shoulder pads. I'm starting to see a theme in here. Nicole, you know how to tell a joke, and you were honest. Carlson, you were relatable. I'm not shitting you, he is using the forbidden word. Mamoru, I learned more about you. You transcended the darkness, and it's a blast. Why does RuPaul talk as if everybody has a mental age of a toddler? Just say you make me feel things. It's even, you know, at least you're saying something. But Mamoru seems to be a little bit of an acid trip. I think someone put something in her coffee enema this episode. But other than that, I kind of agree with the critique so far. Her ability that she has to turn something that's incredibly negative into a joke and then give you also closure while also being honest about it. That's a tough trick to manage. Every fucking time Willow is on stage performing, everybody else ended up feeling more human than ever before. This is the power that she has. Moving on to Bosco. For the look, Michelle, this is a bit simple for me. Don't get me wrong, I agree. But didn't Michelle say that simple is better? They cannot even keep the consistency with the cryptiques between episodes. I found this cryptique from Michelle kind of strange. I had a feeling that she misread the memo. I don't know, maybe she was trying to add peaks and valleys to a character. Maybe she just sometimes need to take the bitchiness out, otherwise she will explode. These are all good and interesting questions. Unfortunately, I don't have any answer. But RuPaul chimes in and says that the look is fun, so at least Mamoru likes it. Nicole says that in the challenge she was funny, it didn't feel rehearsed, kind of agree. And then Michelle, channeling her inner toxic masculinity. You were fucking hilarious, bro. No, she didn't say bro. I added bro. Then we move on to Carlson. You were a superstar, the standout of the group. And then Carlson proceeds to explain the meaning of being a moderator for some reasons. And last but not least, Mamoru. You were born to do moderating and hosting. So now that Mamoru said to someone that she was born to do something and she wins, we know for sure that Bosco is in the top 4, like if not even the winner of the season. Moving on to Georgina Chacha. Carlson, it was a gorgeous silhouette. I love the material. Do you see how nice it is, Carlson? It's not saying anything about shoulder pads, it's not saying anything about the cut of the dress. It's a gorgeous silhouette and I love the material. Michelle, the material catches the light. Michelle, it's fucking sequin. Of course, it catches the light. She's like a kitty, you know, when you jingle the keys. Yeah, kitty, look at the keys, kitty. It catches the light. What the fuck? And then Michelle continues. I didn't get shoulder pads from this. It was puffy shoulders, which was a real critique. I don't know if it was the jingling of the keys or maybe the catching of the light from the sequin. But the effect is that Michelle is giving out a real critiques. So production out there, remember, don't shine light in the face of Michelle Visage because she will lose the point and start being real. Oh, and Travis, Georgina Chacha's fabric didn't shine because of the sequin. It was the drag gods blessing her because she was born to do drag. Carlson, in the panel, you receded a little bit because apparently George's is like a hairline. She receded a little bit. My personal guess is that Daya had a bad breath, but that's just my opinion. Then Michelle, you were self-conscious and you stumbled. Is somebody shining a light in the face of Michelle? Because I completely agree with that. Then Mamaru. She pretends not to care what people think about her, which is complete bullshit. She is just trying her best to lift Georges up. And then she continues, "Hey Georges, that thing that you do on the runway, you should bring it and apply it to everything. And if you do that, you will rule the world." Let's move on to Jasmine. Nicole. She loves the look. Jasmine was charismatic, but we didn't get enough of her. I don't think that Nicole knows the full story behind it, because I'm sure nobody explained to her how much she was pushed into being more silent, because she talks too much, because she sucks the hair out of the room. Carlson, he loves the look as well. It was well edited, it was sleek, I agree, it was fantastic. Beautiful makeup, it was a complete look. Then he tells her, in the challenge, you kind of look like Nancy Reagan as a magician. Since I don't know how many people know who Nancy Reagan was, I will say she looked like Hillary Clinton as a magician. Michelle, your makeup aged you. And I'm like, where is the problem, Michelle? She looked stunning. Not everyone has to be obsessed with looking and acting 20 years younger. I don't know. Sometimes Michelle baffles me. Somebody please shine a light in the face of Michelle. Carlson, you receded a little bit. And then he continues, because it's Carlson. He continues and says, maybe it's a confidence thing. He also proceeds trying to give advice on how to overcome that. And I don't think Carlson really gets what's going on. I mean, he has the best intention. He is trying to help. This is not a problem of confidence. This is called intimidation. It's a very different thing. And then Mamaru, of course, to tie it all together. You think you have to be a character instead of being you. In a way, she is right. But come on, I mean, really, seriously, you have Lady Camden right there. Yeah, I get it. She's so soft and shy. Moving on to Bitter Betica, Carlson. You were personable and relatable. Are we talking about the same person here? I don't know what went over Carlson. Maybe he looked at Michelle and saw that her makeup aged 20 years because a light was shining on her face. Well, I don't agree with Carlson. She came off as kind of partially human when the conversation shifted to copulation, which I'm sure it's also why Georges receded, if you know what I mean. But the rest of the time, it was literally as fake as a $3 bill. Nicole loved the outfit. I agree. I think she looked great. That's how Daya looks. That's the Daya that I know. That's what I want to see. I liked it. Then Michelle. She enjoyed the conversation about the wrestlers. Translation. I enjoy talking about fucking. I mean, everybody likes it. Let's talk about the lip sync. For me, this lip sync was good. The editing was normal. I saw both the queens. I kind of wished for a more upbeat song for both of them because they could have clearly done so much better with a song that suited more their abilities. But nevertheless, it was a good lip sync. And for me, Jasmine was the winner of this. She really sealed the win when she did that slow split for me. It was not really a slow split. She was splitting at different moments. She started, she held it, went on with the song, then went a little bit more down, stayed there, went on with the song. It was a winner move. A split done exactly like this, it's something that I don't think we've ever seen on the show. It's not trivial to actually have something new during the lip syncs. We usually get the same moves over and over and over again. She was saving this. Jasmine is not stupid. She was saving this. For me, this was the winner move. But I'm not going to complain. If we didn't have a double save, Jasmine would have been the one to go home. Because Georgina was born to do drag. Everybody knows that. So at least, Jasmine is still there. Okay, the episode is over. If you want to check out the prediction that I did with Yuki, I will leave a link in the description and in the pinned comment. A special thanks goes to our patrons as usual for supporting the channel, and a shout out to our new patrons, Moderately Dinosaur and Lindsay. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to support the channel as well, you can find the link to our Patreon page in the video description. I'll see you back tomorrow or the day after for a special video, and of course on Sunday for the live stream. In the meantime, have a great week.